Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today just a little video for you on a brand new fragrance, and it's a sample that I've got here, and it's Gallivant Naples. So it's a brand new release from Gallivant, which was kindly sent to me by Nick Stewart, the brand owner and curator, creative director. Nick is a massive travel fan and also has huge experience within the fragrance world, and has for many years before he started up the brand Gallivant, which of course combines his two passions, perfume and travel. So Naples of course is in Italy, and I've got the note listing here for you. I've written it in here in my terrible writing. Check out my writing. Oh yes, could you even read it? I can barely read it. So the notes are ginger, bergamot, sea salt, pink pepper, ozonic notes, a livery labdanum, cardamom, nutmeg, gaiac wood, patchouli. I've written patchouli. Actually, the listed note is called clearwood, and it's a molecule that kind of represents patchouli, works very well with patchouli, but is cleaner and lighter. I think there's real patchouli in here as well from what I read, but I could be wrong. But either way, expect a patchouli-ish note, but perhaps something a little cleaner than you might usually get with patchouli. Birch, vetiver and amber. Now I have tried this on my hand once the other day. I haven't had the time to assess it, so I'm just going to do a few little sprays here and talk about it with you now. So it's really just first impressions, it's not a full review, and obviously first impressions can very much change over time, but let's see what I think of it to start with. Now first of all, without even smelling it, from looking at the note listing, I know it's not one that is really for me. What I mean by that is there's lots of woods in here, lots of things that will be smoky. So if I just went off the note listing, you've got quite a lot of spicy notes: ginger, pink pepper, cardamom, nutmeg. They're all spicy. And then you've got a lot of woody notes. Your vetiver is maybe a cleaner, earthy, slightly green woody note. Birch is quite a smoky woody note, can also lean a little leathery. Then it mentions leathery labdanum. I love labdanum, but it can go a little leathery, and I'm not a fan of anything that goes really leathery. So I'm expecting woody, leathery, smoky, spicy. Gaiac wood is another quite a smoky wood. And then you've got ozonic notes, which is a kind of a contrast to all of that, which you would smell like maybe the inside of a fridge. That's how I talk about ozonic notes, or that's how I kind of do now. Ozonic would be fresh. It could even come from aldehydes sometimes, but I don't get that impression here. Salt itself doesn't have a smell, but if you think about a sea breeze, that certainly does have a smell that's salty. And then you've got bergamot. That is the only listed citrus note. And amber is really the only note that I would expect to give it a little more sweetness. So based on that, I'm expecting spicy, smoky, woody, with maybe a little bit of a lightness from the sea breeze and the bergamot. But is that what I get? It's not exactly what I would expect straight away, because it's not as smoky as I would expect, and it's not as woody, and it's not as spicy. It is all of those things, but I would expect the woodiness and the spiciness and the smokiness to be more pronounced based on the note listing. But actually it does feel, I mentioned earlier aldehydes. No aldehydes listed, and I don't think aldehydes typically make up an ozonic note. I don't know enough about actual making of perfume, but that's how when I smell aldehydes, they do smell airy, sometimes soapy, sometimes fizzy, but they can give that impression of almost like smelling inside a fridge. I don't know what I'm talking about here. If you want a decent review, you know, you can go to another channel. But I'm just telling you what I really smell. And I just mentioned aldehydes and saying I don't think I get them here, but actually now I do. I do feel, and I'm thinking, if I think about fragrances with aldehydes, that I kind of, this is making me think of the new one from Freddie Albrighton, which is the 11 Candles in Antwerpen. That's got quite a strong aldehyde note in it. There's the one from Der Duft. I think it was Pride. I think it's called Pride. I reviewed two, Pride and Grass. Actually, if I got it over here. Doesn't matter. I reviewed two, Pride and Grass. One of them was aldehydic, and it's reminding me a little bit of that as well. So I am getting an impression of aldehyde. So Nick, if you watch this, and I think you will because you're lovely, if you watch this, please let me know if there's some aldehydes in here. But not the fizzy Chanel No. 5 sharp, slap you in the face overdose of aldehydes. More that creamy, slightly soapy, slightly fresh kind of aldehyde feeling. That's what I'm getting here, but that's not the whole thing. I am getting a greenness, like I don't know, like green grass, fresh green dewy grass, a little bit of greenness but not too much, and certainly a spiciness, and then an underlying very, very subtle, gentle hint of smoke. So rather than all the smokiness I was expecting, it's more of a incense in the distance smoke. So not too much. It's not like you walked into a house that's just had an incense stick smoking where you go, whoa, what's that? It's not like that. It's almost like maybe you're outside in the fresh air and someone, you know, quite a distance down the road, I don't know, why would you be on a road? Let's make this a bit more romantic. Okay, so we've got ozonic notes. Let's go to the seaside. Let's go to Naples by the sea, and it's sunset and you're walking along and someone on the beach is doing some Tai Chi, and they've got some incense going. It's just smoking out on the sand, and they're doing Tai Chi, and it's very, very calm and peaceful and relaxing, and you're just walking along, and you're quite a distance still, and you just catch a little whiff of the incense smoke as it floats up to you, but you also have a little bit of the sea breeze, but it's very gentle, it's not windy, there's no seaweed, it's just a little bit of that fresh sea air, but not in any major way. So very, very calming feel to this fragrance. But I definitely do get that aldehydic feel, which I didn't the first time I smelt it, and now to me it is quite pronounced. So I'm probably wrong about that, but that's what I get. So, and there is a little bit of sweetness here. There's a little more sweetness coming through than I expected. So the only sweet note, as I said, to me, the only real sweet note that could give me the sweetness that I crave in fragrances would be the amber. And amber is usually made up of resins and some vanilla, labdanum, maybe benzoin, that kind of stuff. But however an amber accord is made, it can certainly vary. No amber is the same. But to me, it's very, very understated, and I think it might come up a little later in the wearing, and I will have to revisit. But it's probably still not a sweet enough fragrance for me. But it is quite nice, and oh, excuse me, it's quite nice. And now I've mentioned 11 Candles in Antwerpen by Freddie Albrighton, I'm sure they're nothing alike side by side, but it is reminding me of that. That's the most recent thing that I've smelt that I can compare this to. So I do apologise because that's not something that the majority of you may have tried as yet. But it's given me that feeling, and I guess that's because that's a candle fragrance. It's an incense fragrance as well with aldehydes, and this obviously has some similar notes, so incensey notes. Yeah, there is a little lift from the spicy notes. I can't specifically tell you that I definitely smell pink pepper or cardamom or nutmeg. I don't think any of them really jump out, and I wouldn't call it, actually I wouldn't call it a spicy fragrance. It just has a little subtle spiciness, but it's very smooth. It's not particularly sharp, or not cooking spices. It's not like the Serge Luton's is it ombre sultan. Doesn't smell like kitchen spicy, like it's not in your face. It's very gentle. It's part of the whole thing, but it's not the major part. I do get that sort of, yeah, outdoorsy, fresh feeling. It's not too green. It's a little tiny bit green. It's not too green. It's very smooth. Yeah, it does. The spices are kind of dry, and it's almost like the spices are slightly smoked. So when I think of smoked spices, I think of Peter's, Centauri, Dendera, because that has a really strong kind of like powdery, smoky, spicy note, and it's reminding me of that, but this is way smaller, not as big a part of the fragrance. What I will say as a major pro for the fragrance, and this is something I always have to talk about, and I know it gets boring, is it doesn't smell really synthetic. Like whenever you introduce ozonic notes or fresh, you know, fresh notes with ozone and sea salt, oftentimes the fragrance can go too synthetically smelling for my taste. I can smell some aroma chemicals that bother me, and I'm not getting that here. There probably are some to build that accord, but they're in such small doses, and all the other lovely ingredients are working in harmony, and there's nothing jarring and jutting and nothing scratchy. It's not too dry for my taste when those sort of notes get introduced into a fragrance. I don't think I ever really picked out the bergamot in Naples. It's not a citrus fragrance, and there is only that one citrus note, although ginger can smell citrusy as well. So I wouldn't really say it's a citrus fragrance, and I would certainly say if you don't like citruses, don't worry about it. It's really not a big part of it, or even noticeable for me at the moment. I think if you like a mellow spice, a little bit of incense. I mean, this is basically a very wearable, calm and peaceful fragrance. It's almost zen-like, and that's probably why I got the Tai Chi on the beach image in my head. It's very zen-like. Maybe it's the incense, but it's not just, I think when incense is overdosed and too much, I don't actually find it as calming as when an incense note is introduced in a more subtle way, and that's what's happening here. So like incensey, but also very natural smelling, very outdoorsy, and I do think this is really wearable. It could be a very much a introduction to niche if you haven't really stepped into the niche world as yet, and you don't want to wear a beast mode, knock your socks off kind of fragrance. If you don't want to wear stinky ouds, or if you're just not interested in wearing anything that's too out there and crazy, I think this is a really good introduction to a niche fragrance, because it's really good quality, and these days niche does not equate to quality. That's a whole nother conversation. Let me know if you've got an opinion on that. Just because you pay a high price for a fragrance, it doesn't always mean you get what you pay for. I've been learning that a lot lately. So what I'm saying is, I think this is a really good entry-level kind of niche fragrance. Not that you have to be a beginner to enjoy it, but I think if you are looking for more of an everyday versatile fragrance, this could be it. I don't see this being specific to any particular season. I think you could totally wear this year round. I do think it has a slightly aquatic feel, so if you are a fan of those aquatics, the ones that I don't really like that much, like Bleu de Chanel, Dylan Blue, Jimmy Choo, the original Pour Homme. If you like that kind of thing and you just wanted to have a more refined, but it's not really aquatic, but if you wanted to have something slightly more interesting with some incense, much more refined, much more carefully, I don't want to say blended because it's so overused, but it's just more subtle, classy, sophisticated, not a big puncher in the face type fragrance. And when I say that, I don't mean it's weak, absolutely not. I just mean there's no real punchy, jutting out notes that would aggravate me personally, because I am a fussy bitch. So this is very much a refined, sophisticated fragrance that does kind of err on the aquatic, ozonic, but it also has added interest from the spices and the incense. And I just think this would be a really good fragrance for those of you that do like those fragrances I've just mentioned, but you wanted something that's a little bit more classy, perhaps more suitable for a business meeting, whereas you could wear your Bleu de Chanel for clubbing. I don't know, wear it whenever you want, of course, if you love it. But I'm just saying, what I'm saying is it smells really classy, really refined. It's not really my taste, probably just because it's not sweet enough for me. That is really it. There's nothing here I don't like. I like everything here. And I'm not just saying that because I like Nick. I do like Nick, but I'm not just saying that. I genuinely think this is a really good fragrance. It's just not for my tastes. But if my boyfriend was to wear this around me, I would be very, very happy. So this will go to him, actually. I'm sure Sam will love this because he really enjoys more aquatic type fragrances. In terms of the leathery notes, I think I just need to cover that. At the moment, I don't really get anything too leathery. I'm sure that I did as I was wearing it the other day on this hand as well. I think I did get a little hint of more, a little bit more leathery, but not a Tuscan leather or anything like that at all. Again, very subtle. If you like the sound of the notes, then, and imagine them all very subtle, nothing really too punchy, and just little bits and pieces will poke up and you'll notice them as you wear it. That's what you're going to get, really. If you want anything if you want a really strong cardamom fragrance, it's probably not for you. If you're looking for an amber fragrance, again, I'd say all of these notes, if you like most of them, then you're going to enjoy them in this combination. But there's nothing really massively jutting out. Of course, as I give it a bit more of a wearing, I might sort of realise that there is something that juts out, but not really at the moment. So for a video that was supposed to be really quick, we're on 18 minutes, so I just can't stop talking about fragrances. And there you go. So thank you again to Nick for sending me the sample. If you're interested in trying it, I'll put his website in the description. He does sell samples, which I really, really appreciate. So I do really appreciate when brands make it easy, affordable, accessible to test their fragrances, especially if they are in glass atomizers. And especially because this is 2 mils, which is actually quite a generous amount to really give it quite a few wearings. So well done, Nick. That's it then. Thank you for tolerating me throughout this 19-minute video on first impressions of a fragrance. Must do better. See you in another video.